Hi, welcome back. We are doing column with Entasis, which is on the back side next to the steps. And I'm going to do this one instead of the regular column on the front page because this one is a little trickier, and if you do this correctly, you can definitely do the one on the front page correctly. We're going to start by diagramming our shadow line, which, as we know, is perpendicular to the light that's coming in. So this is where the shadow will begin on the column shaft. And this is where we will be projecting our lines out, starting with the lower diameter of the shaft, which is of course the larger circle. And that's on the lower third here. We're going to call this A and B. Something that's easy to do that I've done that's confusing is we want to take this left outside edge and project our rays down from there. That's not accurate. What we want to do, because this is where the shadow is extending from here on this column, we want to take this point A and we want to bring it up here, and that is where we'll be projecting from. And while we have that one line going, we'll just bring it all down. This will be their first point, and then we'll bring up the second point. And again, instead of using the outside column width and projecting the ray from that furthest extent, we have to use this point, the tangent, which is just inside, and that's our projection line. Remember to put your pencil down first, and then bring your triangle over. It helps if you don't have to bring that whole line down. I'm doing it just to kind of help reinforce for you where we are, to kind of place breadcrumbs so we can see where we've been. So now this line should be perpendicular between these 2 points, because we're basically projecting this shadow line of the lower diameter here, and here they're in alignment. So this is the lower third, or the lower diameter, what we normally call D, of our larger size of the column base. So now we have this upper diameter, which I've indicated with these marks on top here. You can draw those in by starting on the outer diameter and extending that line up. Let's go to the outer. That looked a little too steep. There you go. That looks more symmetrical. Okay, we're going to basically do the same thing, retrace our steps, only instead of A, B, let's call these D and E, and then we can use C for our center line. Okay, again, D needs to be on this line of the shadow, and we're going to transfer that point up here onto the upper diameter. Bring that let's just extend. We don't need to make a mark inside that shadow. We already know that's going to be totally filled in, that lower diameter. So extending from that line up. And now we can do E. Make sure you're on the smaller circle. Upper diameter. Again, these lines or dots should make a perpendicular line, just like we did here in the lower diameter. Now, that is not the end of the column. Otherwise, we'd be saying something different about our shape here. So we need to find this roundness and be able to project that. And we do that by using the centermost back point, the center of the shadow, we might want to call it. And we have this nice center line here that projects out. We're going to call that C. And since we don't need to worry about the lower diameter because this is already in shadow, we only need to worry about the center line for the upper diameter. Again, we're going to take that point, we'll project it up here. I'm hitting the same place that E was, right there. So now I don't have to redraw that. I'm just retracing it so you can see that C, E are equivalent. So that means this line here that comes down is containing both C and E. Since we've already used E, we're just going to repurpose it for C. And there we go. We can notice that it's symmetrical. The center line here is symmetrical. And that's going to create an arc for us. Like that. If we wanted to make a more accurate arc, what we would do are choose points here, project them up onto our, choose points on the upper diameter, not the lower diameter. And then we would project those down. And we can play connect the dots to get a more specific and accurate arc there. For the purpose that we're doing right now, I'm going to leave it like this and let you go farther with that. But in order to create this entasis, we need to connect A to D and B to E. That is our projected shadow shape. We need to keep an eye out to make sure that that center line is symmetrical, that the arc is even on both the left and right. It shouldn't be flat or too bulgy. Should be nice and even. You're welcome to erase the construction lines if you want, but I'm happy if you leave them in. Then I can see your process more easily. And it saves you time erasing things. But we're not done. This is just the plan view. We need to make sure that our elevation view is showing that this is a round column. Otherwise, we could assume that this is flat. And of course, we do that by taking this point B on the lower diameter and bringing that up only until we start the entasis, because then once it starts tapering, that shadow is going to go from the largest to the most narrow part. And so then we take that perpendicular shadow line from the upper diameter. We've already marked that. I just want to remember which line it is. It's the one in between those two. And then we connect there. It's subtle, but you should notice that the shadow is more narrow on the top than it is on the bottom. It should not be flat. It needs to compress. And there you go.